Time for First Call, when the BNN Bloomberg viewer gets an opportunity to put a question directly to an investing professional. Today, that's Paul Harris. And Anita from Markham is first up. Anita, thank you for your call.
Yes.
Good morning, Paul, for taking my call. My question is on REITs in general and CAPREIT in particular. I'm down on CAPREIT, and I was wondering what your thoughts are on this, Paul.
Right. So thank you very much, Anita, for the call. I think the REIT environment, had a difficult time because rates went up and, rates have come down a fair bit. And I think there's the whole issue with people not being, especially on the big commercial side, people not coming into the office as much, et cetera, and the retail environment being very difficult. But I do think that there is an opportunity. Rates have come down. I think that that's a good environment for REITs. I think that you're seeing, in a lot of areas, better kind of REITs improving. You've seen better kind of some actual M&A going on. So I think the environment's improving. So I think that that's a great opportunity to get into some of these REIT names presently. They've got reasonable, some of them have very good yields, reasonable yields. And I think that, especially on the commercial side, I think you've seen an opportunity where you're seeing a lot of large commercial buildings where you're seeing occupancy rates improving. And you saw this in the United States as well. And I think you're seeing it here as well. So I think it's a great opportunity to be in these things, get a good yield. And I think that you're buying them at relatively cheap valuations today.
Okay, and I can tell you, Anita, the analyst consensus on CAPREIT overwhelmingly positive. There are 13 analysts that cover the stock. 12 of the 13 say buy. The price target derived from that survey is $52.15 approximately. That is more than $10 higher than yesterday's closing price. And of the 12 buy ratings, 11 have been issued this year during 2025, so they're fairly recent. Thanks, Anita, for your call. Let's go to Tom in Pickering, Ontario. Tom, thank you for your call. You there, Tom? Okay, we've lost our connection to Tom. I know he wanted to talk about First Service.
Right, so First Service is a company we've owned for a long time. I really like the business. I think it's dominated by two things. One, they have their franchise business, so Paul Davis, which is an insurance part of the business. They have California Closets. They have a bunch of other franchise businesses which continue to do well. The other business is a property management business. And so that business, to me, is a great business because there's a slight annuity in there because people tend to sign longer-term contracts. They have an inflation protection in there as well. They've grown two ways, organically and by making tuck-on acquisitions over a long period of time. This is a great Canadian company. They have a lot of exposure to the United States. So I really like it. They can continue to do it. It's never been a cheap stock, and there's only been a few opportunities when you see it fall to buy it. I think you should be buying it here. I've owned it for a long time. Management is fantastic. They have done a great job. And one of the problems with these kind of growth by acquisition stories, people get weary because they may make a kind of a very large acquisition, not be able to manage it. But they've been able to manage acquisitions, and they really have done, a great job of that area. So I continue to see them growing. There's a lot of room for them to continue to grow. So I like the story. I think you should buy it here.
Okay. Here comes an email from our viewer, Andre. Andre says, still a Tesla buyer. What is going on with Elon? I'm not sure what to make of that. He's asking you, I guess, Paul, would you buy Tesla with what is going on with Elon? He destroyed the brand. Unless Elon sells the company, I don't know how this can go back up. So, Paul Harris, your view on Tesla stock.
Well, the issue I think with Tesla is that there's a lot more competition coming, with other kind of cars, right? So that's one thing that's always been the issue, and I think they had a big, huge lead. So certainly they have effectively the way he set up this company, it's basically an iPhone in a funny kind of way. You buy it differently and all these other things. So that's good, and they have a lot of data. Probably as much data as Waymo has on clients and businesses. So there are some opportunities I see why you'd want to own it. So as the person mentioned before that, that it's being upgraded because it's fallen so much. I think that's one thing. But there's a lot of competition on the electric car side. I think that Tesla is one of the best in that area. They really need a smaller car. Like to grow that business, I think they need a car that's not as expensive. And I think that's one of the things that they have to think about doing. And the robo-taxi thing, it may be easier in this environment to do that. The funny thing is Cantor is Fitzgerald, which is the company that upgraded. It's also the company that Howard Ludwig ran, basically, right? So it's, maybe it's funny, but it's not. I don't know. But the reality is that I think that Tesla has a lot of issues. If you can see some clarity about that, Elon Musk is Elon Musk. I mean, I don't think the company is, although he's the head of the company, the business is run by a lot of other people. So I don't think that. And I think the other issue she brought up is deliveries have been very bad, right? So they need to improve all those sort of things. So there's a lot of kind of issues that they have to deal with in the company alone, right? So that's important that they're able to do that. But I think there's, it's a great car. I just don't know if you want to own something like that right now.
Paul Harris, thank you as always for being here with us today.
My pleasure.
Paul Harris was our